Hello, and welcome to a new episode of From the Honeycomb, a podcast that creates a spark of positive energy. Here we discuss all things architecture and design, to travel, exploring Vastu Shastra with a modern approach, and I connect with other like-minded women to share their story. I am your host, Katerina, and welcome to From the Honeycomb. I'm joined here today with my cousin Veru, once again back on the podcast, and we are recording live from Paso Robles, where we are here for the weekend celebrating both our birthdays. And we're going to kind of see, we are on a farm, so there'll be a little bit of background noise, maybe a horse might come into the sound. I'm sure you can probably hear a lot of the birds, but it is a beautiful sunny day. We are sipping wine, and na zdraví, cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much for having me after 1 year again.
I know, back on the podcast.
That's crazy. We've been thinking about it, like it's been 1 year since we were in Temecula and we did our first podcast, which I still didn't listen. So you know that like I don't like to hear my own voice, so no.
Now we have episode 2. You can compare the episodes, see how your English has really improved over the last year. Today we want to kind of talk about, you've been now in the US for 1.5 years, but before we do that, let's share what we're grateful for. So Veru, what are you grateful for in this present moment?
I think I'm really grateful to be healthy. I think that I can be grateful for it every single day, every moment, every minute. So I think that I'm grateful to be healthy. Yeah, that's the most important thing for me.
No, health is so important, as we've seen recently too. Good.
Yeah, but I don't remember what I mentioned last time.
I don't know either.
Maybe we have to listen to that episode to find out. But yeah, what about you? For what you're grateful?
I didn't think I'd have to say anything.
I know.
Anything that I'm grateful for in the present moment. I would say the weather we've had this weekend. It has been absolutely beautiful. It's been sunny. We went, just to kind of talk about this weekend is we went up for Paso Robles to celebrate both our birthdays because my birthday's in March, your birthday's in April. And we did it last year. Like you mentioned, we went to Temecula. And this year we went up a little bit further north to Paso Robles, and we're staying in this beautiful Airbnb. It's blue skies, gorgeous sun. I have to say I'm so grateful for the weather because it rained right before we came. It might rain a little bit after we leave, but we are having just the perfect weather. And it's also not too hot because the next weekend I know it's going to be really, really hot. And like we're sitting out here, sweatpants, t-shirt, and it's just beautiful. And like the vitamin D we've gotten this weekend, like we just came back from a wine tasting where it was a sculpture garden and we just walked around, had some wine, had some snacks, and the whole time it's just been so beautiful. So I have to say I'm really grateful for that.
That's really nice. Oh, yeah. Like I thought that you will say that you are really grateful for the friendship, because like otherwise you would be sitting here on your own and you would not be able to do an episode. Maybe it would be just episode about yourself, but...
You didn't listen to the episode with Jesse about being a contractor, did you?
No, I didn't. Why?
Because there I talked about you being grateful for you.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I have to listen. Yeah. You're blushing right now.
Is it the sun or the wine?
Yeah, so I have to listen it then.
Yeah. So.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear, so thank you, yes.
Yes, so, no, I do mention it in another episode.
Okay.
So you'll have to listen. I thought you listened to it already.
No, I didn't, actually. No, but I have to. So when we get back, that I will listen to this episode. But for sure, I will not be listening my episode. So
we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now we can hear a horse.
Yeah, we have a horse right by us. We actually have 2 horses. We have a little horse and a big horse, which is really cool. So as we said at the beginning of the episode, you've been here for 1.5 years now in the U.S. We moved from Czech Republic. So anybody who's new listening to the podcast, I'm originally from the Czech Republic. Veru is also from the Czech Republic. We're cousins. Our dads are brothers. And we're 3 years apart. We grew up a lot together. And a couple of years ago, Veru came to visit Jesse and I, stayed 3 months with us, and while she was here, she went to a light show with me where I introduced her to her now husband, and yeah, a couple of years later, here we are drinking wine in Paso Robles.
It's unbelievable.
Because she moved here because that's crazy. All I needed her to go to the light show for was I needed a carpool buddy because it was for a work thing. And her husband had actually been in our office a couple days before then. And I remember talking to him. I was like, okay, we'll see you at the light show. And then I saw him at the light show and I was like, oh, hey, here's my cousin, da-da-da. They started talking and then, yeah, here we are.
Here we are, yeah.
So, a year and a half later.
Still crazy.
It is crazy. I officiated your wedding last year.
That's true. That's what happened.
Yeah. So, it's been, So, here we are, though. A year and a half later. How do you feel now that you've lived here in California for a year and a half? How do you feel at home?
I'm not sure. It's really hard to say. I think that I will always say where's my husband, that, there's my home. But as you know, that, like the Czech Republic and California is totally different, and you can see, like, it's just so different. You can see, as I said, like, everything is so different. So, like, I cannot compare it. You cannot compare it, and I don't know.
Že to je strašně nahlas. On je hned tady. Oh my gosh, she's like right next to us. Okay. That was really, really loud in my headphones. But anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No, actually, I really don't know, and I don't know what to say because I don't know.
But you do feel. But it sounds like you do feel at home here now, and I think I remember. I'm trying to think what we talked about last year as episode, but I said California seems to suit you. Life here seems to suit you. You kind of seem like you quickly made the adjustment, and I think it did help because you were here for 3 months when you stayed with us. I mean, the first time you went to California was when you were 10.
I think so 10.
Yeah. So it's you've been here before. It wasn't like a completely new culture that you moved to. You've been here a few times. You visited. Have like families here. But it's definitely been different. But you seem very settled.
That's true. I feel that way, but. Yeah, but it's a really difficult question, and I don't think so that I would ever be able to say if it's home or not. I don't know. And I think that it seems like the horse agrees with me.
He does. Oh my gosh. And it's the little horse, too. It's not even the big horse that's making all the noise. But, and then what would you say your favorite part about California and living here is now?
I think it would be, of course, my husband, then weather. It's nice. Except that it was raining so much.
Yeah, this year's different. This year's a terrible year for me.
But I think I would say weather, my husband, you, how people are nice here, the ocean, and like, I think that we are like living like not such a stressful life, so that's what I really like here. I think that, like, for example, if I compare it with Prague, but I was living in a totally different like time frame, can I say like this, that I was living totally different time frame of my life, that like I was in rush, I was trying to make money, I was trying to do my career, and here's like everything is more calm, and I feel that what suits me. But you never know what will happen in the future, so like all what I can say is like how it is right now, and that's what I really like, and that's what I appreciate, like at least like I can finally like breathe out and vydechnout.
Let out a breath, like relax.
Yes, relax. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, because so in California, we usually have really nice weather all year round. There's really no, like, slow season here in construction and anything. Like, it's beautiful sunny days. You don't really have those days where things slow down. So it's interesting you say that. 'Cause I do see it, though, how in California, it's a little bit more easygoing life. It's fast-paced, but in, like, a good way that people don't work here, like maybe like on the East Coast, like in New York, it's like work. And I think here in California, we like to work, but we also like to enjoy where we are. And we've got that beach life. And as we were talking about when we were coming back from our wine tasting is Like, there's just, California has so much to offer. You've got the mountains, the surfing. Like, you can go ski one in the afternoon and surf in the morning, all in one day. And there's just so much to do here. And I think we do really, in California, try to enjoy, the nature and what's around us. And all the sunshine tax that we pay. And it's so expensive here. We were just talking about how expensive it is in California. And you pay for that. But then, like, we live in such a beautiful place.
That's true. I agree.
Yeah. And then what would you say is, like, your least favorite or something that you've found challenging?
English. That's, I think, the language boundary is I would say, the thing that I'm still struggling with. Also, what else? I think, but, like, it's really hard to say because it depends, like, in what kind of part of California you're living. But like, I really miss walking, like in the part where we live, we are still living in the same place where we lived last year. And that's the place, like, where you cannot, like, walk, you have to take car everywhere. So I think the thing is that you have to spend so much time in the car, and you're spend so much time in the traffic. Drivers are crazy. Sometimes it feels like that you're, like, really worried to be in the car and drive somewhere because, like, you never know who will cross the road, and, like, drivers, like, are impatient. I think that's the second thing that I'm struggling with, that you have to spend so much time in the car, and I'm just so used to walk. And I know that, of course, that you can walk everywhere. You can, like, for example, here when we are in Paso Robles, that you can, like, walk here, like, forever, and you will never walk back to OC or something, because, like, it would take you forever. But it's just the thing that you really have to take the car everywhere, and that's the thing that I don't like. But you never know where you will live, like in the next couple of months or something, so it can totally change.
That's true. And I know you made a comment when you first went back to Czech last summer. It was your first time back to Czech after living here for a few months. And I asked you something like, what do you see the differences and things like that? And one comment that you made that I always think about is, you said in Czech, it doesn't feel like you have as much time to yourself. Like, you're always going. And you're like, here I feel like I do. And then I said, do you think it's because you sit in your car by yourself? So, like, you'll have a meeting with a friend. And in Czech, then you would get in the metro where you'd be surrounded by people, and then you're going home and there's always people around you. Here, you go and have coffee with a friend, but you drive there. And then on the way home, it's you in your car. You can have music on, you can have a podcast on, you can have absolute silence. You can do whatever you want because you're in your little bubble. And that was something I found interesting, is you said, like, you feel like in Czech you didn't have, like, that moment to yourself, where I feel like you do here because you're in your car. That is the time you have for yourself.
But it depends how you feel, like, because, for example, like, I know that we are spending so much time in the car right now, and, for example, you don't, like, that you spend, like, 30 minutes in the car per day, but sometimes I spend, like, 4 hours in the car per day. So sometimes it's really tough, and he agrees with me again.
Yeah.
But it always depends, and I believe that I would answer these questions, like, totally differently in the future, next year, or I would respond totally differently last year, because like, we are always in some kind of, like, current situation, or like, that you are in a different chapter of your life, and everyone would always answer differently. So yeah.
What advice would you give yourself if you were knowing you were going through the next year process, or either give yourself or give to someone who is about to go down the same visa process, everything, and live here? What is your advice you would give someone, or give yourself?
That's a really nice question. So, first of all, I think that since I was 4, and my husband and you are always laughing that since I was 4 that I started learning English. So I would tell to myself, focus more on to learn English, and try to study harder, because then you will not struggle how I'm struggling here. And I'm not saying that I'm struggling, but like, it's just more difficult when English is your second language, and like, then you will find out that in both languages you're like I would not say like totally different person, but you're acting differently.
You express yourself differently.
I do express myself differently, and it was really interesting when we went to Prague with my husband, and he was like, "Oh, you're like, totally different person. You're like the one who is so confident, and like who will walk in, and you are the first person who will start, like dealing with the situation and talking to the people and trying to resolve like all the situations that can happen. And here I'm the one who is always the second one, or not always, but like of course that it's like more comfortable for me to be the second one because I don't have to like deal with some situations or with the people in my second language. So I think that it would be the first thing what I would say to myself.
He agrees.
To study harder when you are a child, and like your brain is like a mushroom, that you can like get all the informations and vocabularies and everything. So that would be the first thing. The second one, I think, be patient. Be patient. But I think that I became to be like much more patient person because I was always the one who wanted everything like immediately, like, and when I came up with some idea that I wanted to have it like, by tomorrow. And so that's the thing, that you have to be patient. And then I think that's it. Just try to stay in the contact with people that are like important in your life, and you will see how many people will stay on the same journey that you are going through. And you will see, like how many through friends and how much people of your family, will stay with you, and they would like really like cheer for you and be happy for you. So it would be also another thing that I would like, recommend. But like it's not like the thing what to recommend, but maybe the thing is like be prepared that that you can lose some people.
That was going to be a next question I had, is how did you see your relationship changing with certain people now that you live further away? Or we've talked about it, that there's a there's jealousy of now you're living in America or California. How did that relate to family and friends in Czech, and have you seen kind of those relationships change?
So I have to say, and I'm really grateful for it, that almost like all my friends and my family are like true friends and true family, that I have to say that I didn't lose so many people. But you can see, and you will get some comments that they will say, "Oh, I would never move, from Prague, because I belong here, and I would never just move because of love, But then, for example, it can be people who are single and they don't have love in their life, So from my personal opinion, I didn't lose so many people, and I think that I have like even better relationship with them, and we can see it. And I think that I inspired by you because I know, yeah.
Me? Oh, sorry, yes. I pointed at myself. Me, really?
Yeah, because like I could have seen how was it when we were children, and we were like, almost like sisters since we were born. But you live here in California. I was living in the Czech Republic in Prague, and we always stayed, like in contact. We had such a great relationship, and we've been talking about it, that that you have some people and some friends, like for example, that you don't see them for 3 years, but then like when you see each other, that you will start talking, and that you didn't see that people for 3 years, but it feels like you
no time has gone by.
Yeah.
No, we were really talking about that too, about some of our friendships. And I have a lot of international friends, and there's one friend specifically, Julia, who's also been on the podcast, and how it's, you have that relationship with certain people that no matter the distance, and like, to bring up Julia, is we never really write. We sometimes write each other for birthdays if we remember, but then when you see that person, it's like no time has gone by, and we just kind of pick up the conversation. We fill each other in on maybe what's happened. I mean, most of what we know, like we tell each other some of the big stuff if something's happening, but in all, it just feels like there's those friendships who really, stand like that test of time. And so that's really, really important. But I'm glad that you do seem to have a really supportive network of friends and family, and saw that at your wedding in Czech last year. So you moved here, you got married, had a little civil ceremony, and then a year later you had the wedding in Czech, which is the one I officiated. And so it was really interesting to see just how many people, and like you had so many friends who were supporting you, because and you made a good point, is not only did you move to another country to a beautiful state, but you also found love.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though there are those friends who maybe would have been jealous of, oh wow, now she lives in California, it's amazing, like look, she's posting photos where she's at the beach in January, you know, but there's
except this year.
But there's also that you not only on top of that found love. And so there are people who could have looked at that as well. So I think it's really, I'm very happy for you that you were able to have such a supportive network, and you could see that at your guys' wedding, that there was really people who were excited for you. And you know, you're very lucky, I think, in that sense. And I think
I'm really grateful for that.
And I think it also speaks to your personality and your character, as well as that you have those kinds of people around you.
But also people who will decide to change their life, that they have to be ready for, you know, that not everyone can have this one, and that they can struggle with that.
No, it's so true. It's interesting. Yeah, it's definitely been interesting. Yeah, it's like, and going back to that chapters in your life, you are now in this new chapter. You're married now. You're moved here. You're kind of, you know, there's other things going on in your guys' personal life. It's like, what's the next chapter for us? You've gone through the visa process. You've done all that. That's all behind you. And now it's like, whew, now what's next? And that's, I think, seems like that's a good feeling, that you can focus your energy on different things.
But it always depends, like, you know, like what kind of people you will have here. And also if you, like, I'm really grateful for my husband's family, for you, for Katerina, for Katu, and her husband Jesse, that he was also on this podcast. So another recommendation would be just try to find like really true friends who will always support you and cheer for you.
And it's been amazing to see how you have also created a network of people here now. And so it's been amazing that you were able to kind of form a sense of network of people here as well on your own, that you haven't relied only on us, because I think that can sometimes happen when you move to a new country and you only rely on the people you know, but you have, you know, reached out to people and you've talked, and like on social media, things like that, you found people, like for example, your hairdresser, Marketa, she's also Czech. I don't know how you found her. I can't remember.
I found her on Facebook page because I was looking for some English teacher, and she actually texted me and she sent me a message, and she was like, oh, she doesn't look like, then I would say a bitch. So I will try to text her. And you know, like we will see, because she saw that I'm from Prague. So, you know, also depends like from what kind of part of the Czech Republic you are. So she sent me a message and we just started chatting, and she gave me such a great recommendation for an English teacher that I'm like friends with her right now. But unfortunately Marketa moved to Oregon, so but we are still in contact, and she's a great friend. So
no, you're getting that now. I guess that's what we were talking about too on the way here, the true, like how many Americans move different states. So now you have that like true American friend who you met, and then now she moved to another state, and then you kind of keep that friendship, because Americans seem to move a lot, I would say. And that was something we were talking about too, is like with university, like I was growing up in California mostly, and then I went to school in Chicago, and that's very normal. And we kind of talked about in Europe, you kind of seem to stay a little bit of where you're from or where you are. There's not as much moving away unless maybe you meet someone or a job. Where here, it seems like, because I was talking about one of my friends is exploring with her boyfriend right now. They've, you know, grown up, he grew up in California. They're thinking about moving. And so now they're just traveling around the U.S., seeing what town and city they want to live in. And that's kind of one of the interesting things about living in the U.S. is you have a whole continent. You can choose where you want to live. You don't have to worry about visas, different taxes, passports, anything like that. You have such a huge place to choose from depending on what you like culturally, the weather, the everything. So that was kind of a side note on that. So we were talking about, you know, we should have probably listened to your episode from last year just to kind of compare, but One thing I remember I asked you is, what surprised you about living in California? And one of the things you said, when it rains into our apartment. Because we talked about the construction in California and your apartment being an older building and they just didn't use the correct, waterproofing at that time when they were building construction. And California just isn't used to all of this rain, which this year, like I'm like, this is not normal. And, it hailed in Huntington Beach.
I know.
I mean, that's the most surprising thing.
Yes, I sent you the video. Yeah. And we got such a crazy weather this year. And sometimes, like, if I compare it with Czech, that, they were almost having, like, better weather than when we got here.
Yeah.
But actually, back to that apartment that we got always rain into our apartment when it was raining, was that we got fixed it. And we found out that my husband, in our backyard, that we are having some, jak se řeknou takový ty pláty.
You guys have, like, it's like a shading. It's not like an overhang. I'm trying to describe, how would you describe it? It's like on a cable system. And so they have a really big backyard also for South Orange County. And they have, like, it's like a canvas. So it provides shade, and it's like you have two, right? So it makes a shape. So you have like two hanging canvases is how I would describe it. Yeah.
And when you have those, like, cables that you have put it somewhere, you have to, like, hook it somewhere.
Attach it, yeah.
Attach it with something. So my husband attached it with the roof right above our sliding door. So when those people came to our apartment because they wanted to fix the roof, because we were complaining that we are getting, like, so much water inside of the kitchen. And they said, oh, well, so you made a hole on the top of the roof because you wanted to attach that the canvas from the backyard. So at the end, we found out that it was my husband's mistake. And here we are. We are not getting...
You didn't get any rain this year.
And any rain and no more water, into our apartment. So that was the secret.
Wow. I remember I'm trying to explain. I'm like, well, it must be because there's no waterproofing and it's an older building. Because even, like, our apartment was built in the 80s and I don't think we have any insulation.
No, we don't have, for sure. Like, we don't have any insulation. And I would, like, believe that the insulation or, like, waterproofing of the building was, like, there cannot be, like, anything, because, like, when you wake up in the morning, it's so cold, like, floors are so cold and everything. So I was just thinking about it lately. But yeah, we found out that it wasn't the mistake of the owner, but it was the mistake of my husband. But he just pretended that, like, he didn't do that. So
oh, that was here, like, that's how we rented the place. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, but you're right. This question is just the only question that I remember from the last year episode. So
yeah, I'll have to provide a link in the show notes for you guys if you want to listen to last year's episode. But Veru, thank you for coming on. I think this was a good episode to kind of reflect on, because I knew we wanted to record an episode while we're here. Should we talk about Paso Robles? Because all we've done is eat and drink and take tons of photos and videos.
And we slept so much.
Yeah, we did. We slept 12 hours last night. We went to bed at like 9 and we woke up at 9. But yeah,
someone wanted to leave to Paso Robles at 5 a.m. So
I picked you up at 5:30 a.m.
It was still 5 something, so I didn't get enough sleep the night before. So
no, yesterday was a long day. I woke up at 4:20, picked you up at 5:30 from Huntington, and then we drove up, and it wasn't that bad. The big thing is getting through LA. And we did hit a little bit of traffic, but it only took 4.5 hours. We are on this beautiful farm, 40 acres, they said. There's a beautiful pond. I think after this, we're going to go for another walk. We've just been walking. We went to a great restaurant yesterday, had really good sandwiches and more wine. Then we came back here, had more wine, walked around the property. Today, we found a winery with beautiful sculptural gardens. And I'll provide a link in the show notes for everywhere we went. We went to Cass Winery for lunch. And we went to Sculptura Winery today to look at beautiful sculptures. Huge property. I mean, it's a really big property. And it was nice. They had a food truck, live music. The food truck was phenomenal. good Mexican, just fresh I mean, my tacos were amazing. So it's been really beautiful. I've always kind of wanted to stay in Paso Robles, see it, and I think we've gotten very lucky with the weather. And
we saw such a nice art
no,
on the winery as well, so it was a really lovely place.
Yes.
I'm so glad that you chose it.
Yeah. And shout out to Deborah, our wine tasting person. How would you say?
Like, that's another thing. Like, maybe back to your previous question that, like, here in America, in California, that, like, everyone remembers all names. You know, like, when you're at the restaurant, when you come to the winery, everyone is like, oh, hi, my name is blah, 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 and I will be taking care of you. And I'm the one who doesn't know, like any name. I don't remember any name. Because it's the thing, like, that's such a new for me. It's just like, you know, like, I will never remember your name, or, you know, I will never remember the name of the waiter. I will never remember the name of the receptionist or the owner of this Airbnb or something. And I'm always so surprised that you remember those names. It's unbelievable.
You have to repeat the name immediately. There's tricks. And
I always just focus, like, that I'm saying my name, you know, and I'm always like, you know, like, you have to say your name correctly, you know, but of course that I know that how, you know, what's my name? My name is Veronica, but you are just, you know, trying to focus, like, how you will say, how you will pronounce it, you know, how you will do your body language. And you're just the always only one who remembers, like, almost all names. And when you ask me, like, the name, I don't know. Like, I didn't even think about it.
I didn't know her name until she gave us her card at the end.
Really? She gave us some card?
That's why I know her name. Otherwise, I would have been like, oh, we had such a great person who walked us through all the wine tasting. Like, the girl who was shadowing her, no idea what her name was. If she said her name, I don't remember.
I think that she didn't say anything. Yeah, no.
But Deborah gave us her card when we were checking out, and when we were doing our shopping, we bought so many pistachios because they have a pistachio farm. We bought wine.
I wasn't there for 1 minute and we got like 6 packages of pistachios.
Because apparently they have, on the farm, that was kind of cool too, is on the winery, they have, oh gosh, I think it was like 6 different types of wine because it's such a huge property. I think it was like 250 acres. I mean, it's
over
huge.
200.
Yeah. They also have pistachios. And the pistachios are really good. And we didn't know what to bring our husbands back after the trip, but they both like salty nuts and things like that. So Veru went to the restroom and she said, go get the pistachios. And so I got one of each kind. And they're big bags. It's like 3 different types. And so I got all those pistachios and we're buying that.
The biggest size of the package,
yeah,
of course.
Well, because there's like chili and lime pistachios. There's garlic pistachios. There's like salt and pepper pistachios. They all look so, so good. But yeah, the only reason I know her name is because she gave us her card. Otherwise, my trick is you have to repeat the name immediately after in your head, or you have to associate it with something. So when I saw the name Deborah, I had a reception.
It's like zebra.
See? So you think of zebra. I think of Deborah. I had a Debbie who was a receptionist in Chicago at a interior design firm I worked for. That's how I remembered her name. I didn't think about, and I'm like, oh, Deborah. That's it. And I remember Debbie. She was a receptionist. And then that's how you remember. That's how I remember waiters' names, is you have to repeat it immediately after. But I'm glad you think I'm really good at it. I've tried to get better because there was a time where I'm like, I have no idea what you just said. But like what your name was, I totally forgot it because I was so focused on just like you said, introducing yourself, your body language, how are you going to, like you just got somewhere, like we showed up at the wine tasting. He even agrees. He doesn't agree as much as he agreed with you this horse, but yeah, the names are very, you have to say it right away after. And like with servers and stuff, and it's true, like when I think about it, you brought up a good point, is when Jesse and I do our episodes, we always say the name of the person who helped us at the restaurant, at the winery, wherever we were, but we remember the names because you have to associate it with someone you know. So it's interesting, yeah. Like I still remember when we went to Sonoma March 2020, our server at the winery, his name was Jeff. Because he spelled his name like Geoff, like my childhood friend Jeff in New Hampshire. And I'll never forget it. I don't even know what he looks like anymore, but he showed us his card. And we were talking, and I said, oh, how do you spell Jeff? And he goes, Geoff. And I was like, wow. So it's you have to learn these little things. It's very interesting. Yeah, it's true. In Europe, you never know anybody's name.
No, you don't.
It's just, I'm your waiter, and it's Mr. Waiter. Pan Vrchní.
Yeah.
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 Or Miss
And
Waiter.
then that's it.
Yeah.
That's all what you need to know.
Yeah.
To eat and drink.
Yeah, So, well, Veru, thank you so much for coming on from the Honeycomb podcast again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, for trusting me. It's so beautiful out here. I'm super excited to continue walking around the property, enjoying this weekend with you. And na zdraví.
Na zdraví.
Yeah. So thank you. Děkuju.
Děkuju.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of From the Honeycomb. If you liked it, please give it a heart or thumbs up and click the follow button so you can stay up to date on the latest episodes. You can follow me on Instagram at From the Honeycomb Podcast, and be sure to check out the link in the show notes to sign up for my monthly newsletter where you will receive a spark of positive energy in your inbox. Thank you so much, and see you next week.